It's been a long time.
A fortnight?
For the Horde.
Not for the Alliance.
No.
Never. Well, hello from the future. Or from the past, depending on your perspective.
It's been, what, almost 2 years?
Yeah, about 2 years, over 2 years since our last episode was posted. And I'd say at least a year and a half since we shot this coming up episode. This, I would say, may have been lost to time, but we've been meaning to get it out there, and we've decided it's coming.
It's almost like the blip happened to us.
Oh, that makes way too much sense.
Like the snap.
We were blipped.
We were blipped.
Yeah. You know what? I like that theory. I like that reasoning better. It makes a lot more sense.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Cool. Well,
Just Marvel references, no big deal.
we've literally never referenced Marvel ever
We should
on this show or in our personal life. So let's just cut it out right now.
We should do a better job at referencing DC. Calls a Civil War.
Too soon. Too soon.
Yeah.
Bucky almost died.
Right,
Iron Man and Cap almost killed each other.
Yeah, they beat the crap out of each other.
And now we're back to Marvel.
Now we're back to Marvel again. So, it has been way too long.
Way too long.
We're glad to be back. Our goal is one episode a month.
We missed
an
that.
attainable goal. It's an attainable goal.
We missed the goal the last time by about 23-ish months.
Yeah, but, who's counting?
Well, I just did.
Okay. Yeah.
We never count.
Yeah.
All right, so you will soon see our past selves, their future, our future, our Days of Future Past.
Well, if we
That's a Marvel reference.
That is Days. Well, is it though?
It's not an MCU reference.
It's more of a
not
Fox.
yet.
It's more of a Fox X-Men reference. Yeah.
I don't want to be a part of any country that can't have Ryan Reynolds or Hugh Jackman as president. The bird agrees. All right, so
Cheers to us.
Cheers to the past, to the future, to bringing back Why the Hell Not. We'll see you soon.
All right, welcome to Why the Hell Not.
Welcome.
I'm Rick.
I'm Chris.
You sure?
Fact of the matter is, I don't know anymore.
That's fair. You can not know. You can not know, Chris. That's okay. Your name's Chris. You're a real person.
I was so in doubt.
But we're back.
We are back.
We're back. We're happy to be here. Today we got a special treat for you.
Yep. Something we've talked about doing for a while and just decided, why the hell not?
Going for a twofer.
It's a twofer.
That's right. It's a twofer episode.
Which we haven't done since episode 1.
It's about time.
Which was our longest episode. So we're going to see how this goes. So today we have a couple selections from Angel's Envy.
We're working with Angel's Envy Rye and some good old original
Angel's Envy Bourbon. Yeah, this is, I think this was actually one of my first just favorite higher price bourbon. I think this and Four Roses I discovered around the same time.
Absolutely, from the premium selection.
Yeah.
Premium brands, for sure.
Honestly, not only is the name fantastic, but it catches the eye with these very cool wings on the back. And I just think it's a beautiful bottle, great name, and who wouldn't want to drink from the Angels?
Yeah?
Glad we got that worked out.
Woo! All right.
And how. And the rest of the Angels are envious because they didn't get to die a hero's death, which a hero's death is clearly being made into whiskey. See, what I think of when I think of Angel's Wings is the movie Dogma. When he gets his wings shot off.
Oh, yeah.
And you're just like, oh man, poor Ben Affleck. He's never going to be an angel again.
Oh, Dogma.
Wait, was it Ben Affleck or was it Matt Damon who got his wings shot off?
I don't know. They both have wings in that movie. It gets confusing.
Whoa, Ben Affleck had wings before he was Batman.
Batman just has a cape, Chris.
He has metaphorical wings, Rick.
I guess he has a jet.
He can hold out his cape and fly. Those are wings. Bat wings.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, Chris. Okay.
Because this is what Batman sounds like.
No, this is what Batman sounds like.
This is what Batman sounds like.
I'm Batman.
I am Batman.
Yeah.
Batman I am?
Christian Bale or...
Where are you hiding then?
Just give me the other actor.
I don't know anyone else.
Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton. Thank you. Michael Keaton it is.
We'll also be getting into this limited release, Angel's Envy Rye. Aged for 6 to 7 years, and then aged an additional 18 months in Caribbean
rum casks.
Caribbean rum cask barrels for the last 18 months.
Right.
A little bit more limited to find, a little bit harder to find, a little bit more limited selection, I should say, than just regular Angel's Envy.
Although regular Angel's Envy is nothing to scoff at. Yes, it can be easier to find. I think that's just a good thing. You know, as long as we can find a quality whiskey at a fair price, it's a win in my book. Angel's Envy has been really consistent to find, which makes me very happy because it wasn't always like that. And it seems like these days great whiskeys are getting rarer, not easier to find. What I found interesting about standard Angel's Envy bourbon is that it is finished in port wine barrels. I know I discovered this around a similar time that I started appreciating some good ports. So it's kind of a nice synergy there. And it just adds a little extra.
But as you can see, we've been drinking these heavily.
Yeah, they're
definitely favorites on the bar.
Yeah, they're not freshies because why would you ever leave any of these uncorked? Yeah.
Let's get into it.
I'm so in. All right, let's do.
Should I do a twofer?
Oh boy.
You pour.
All right, I'm gonna pour these two.
Yeah,
You pour those two.
Come on, I was already there.
All right.
Ready? Ready? Oh, I just overshot it.
It's okay. Happens to the best of us.
That was Chris.
Of course. Anytime. All right.
Cheers, good buddy.
Good buddy. Some bourbon.
Start with the bourbon.
Start with the bourbon.
And I always confuse that port smell with like a sherry smell.
Yeah.
It's like a sweet cherry almost. On the nose. So.
Yeah, I know. We've tried another. I think it was a bourbon that is like a sherry bourbon, which we may try on this channel at some point. But that one's a lot more intense of that flavor profile. This is more subdued.
Yeah, I think that one's like 115 proof or something.
That'll do.
What is the proof on this actually?
86.
Yeah, almost 87. 86.6.
All right.
You don't really smell a whole lot of that like ethanol,
Right.
which is kind of nice.
Yeah. No, I think I'm getting some vanilla on the nose.
That port just reminds me of like candied cherries or like
Yeah.
those like chocolate covered cherries with the cherry liqueur inside. I get that like smell, that smell in the nose.
Yeah. Yeah, I do get some of the cherries as well. Maybe even like, this is gonna sound kind of weird, like rose petals. Like a little bit of that floral.
So smooth, man. A little burn, a little kick. I probably didn't breathe right, but that's on me.
No, so smooth.
Yeah, I get vanilla on the taste for sure. I get vanilla and it's got me that port sweetness, like it reminds me of cherries. Yeah.
I get a lot of honey.
Nah, like smoothness on the tongue.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the cherries. It's no wonder these are so good in an old fashioned with a cherry. It just enhances it and makes that pop.
Oh, that's a really good point.
Right?
I haven't had an Angel's Envy old fashioned in a while.
Been a minute. Need to fix that.
You can smell a little bit of like that like white oak that they use in the aging process on the nose as well. I don't really get a whole lot of like flavor there though. Like the port really overwhelms, to me anyway, on my palate, really overwhelms a lot of like some of the other like characteristics that I get maybe out of a bourbon.
Yep.
I know we've tried a couple of them now on the channel, but I get a sweetness, but I also get like that chocolate covered cherry taste with like a smoothness or like softness like on the middle of my tongue.
Yeah. No, I think that is what I'm missing, like or what I was missing in my evaluation is like the chocolate covered cherry. So I know a lot of times with some of these bourbons I'm getting like a caramel or a toffee sweetness, but it is like a chocolatey cherry, a little bit of vanilla. Yeah, that's quite nice.
And lately we've gone back to a lot of ryes too, so we have to kind of remember that the mash bill's gonna be slightly different.
Yeah.
We're gonna get different flavor profiles on it,
Right.
of course.
No, it's just it's so lovely. Like there's no part of this that is not just thoroughly enjoyable. I can just sip this straight all day and be perfectly happy.
Yeah, warm or cold. I like my bourbons a little bit colder than room temp. I usually drink them on a cube or have a cube on the side. But this one's good either way, in my opinion, because it's not that harsh.
Right.
You know, it doesn't need any water to like accent it.
Drinking it straight, I think, allows, you know, the lower proof to shine through a little bit more. Because, you know, obviously with the higher proofs that we've been drinking a lot, having it on a cube helps mellow that a little bit. But this allows the flavors to come forward. I even think I get a little bit of cinnamon on the finish as well. And I don't think I would get that if this was on a cube.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about cinnamon. I love cinnamon.
It's very light. Like, it's very faint. It's like if you just put like a dash in your coffee, you know, it's not overwhelming anything.
Which I do.
Oh,
How'd you know that?
Cinnamon and coffee is amazing. It's my favorite.
Oh, mine too.
Yeah.
Now we know.
Now we know.
Did we just become best friends?
Did we? All right. Cinnamon and coffee and bourbon. Well,
Let's
you like?
Let's just jump into it, right?
Yeah.
I beat you to it. That's what you're gonna say.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. Don't apologize. I do
I'm not sorry.
There you go. I do not accept your apology.
I'm not sorry.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. I'm not sorry.
Good. So, Angel's Rye. I will say, the first time I had Angel's Rye was before I really started developing a taste for rye like I do now. I think we've covered, at least for me, and I think a little bit for you, started off more on the bourbon side, appreciating that side. And ryes were always a little bit spicier, a little bit sharper, until I started appreciating, you know, the complexity and subtleties of that. Angel's Rye, I think, was one of the first ryes that I tried that I just instantly fell in love with. You know, its balance just struck me as so beautiful.
Now, when I first tried Angel's Envy Rye, I think I was at a friend's party or something like that, and like they were like, "You have to check this bottle out. It's amazing. I know you like whiskey." So like I checked it out, and like it was amazing. You know, I had it neat, and I just thought it was the best thing like I had in however long. And I was still pretty new to drinking at least ryes back then, and it was amazing because I'd had Angel's Envy bourbon prior, but Angel's Envy Rye was just so good, so smooth, and everything was there, like just like it was just perfect, you know. And then after that, it had been forgotten about, or years had passed, and I hadn't found it again until kind of this last year.
Right.
And then this last year, I've been actually trying to make more of an effort to at least procure a couple bottles.
Well, it's just so hard to find.
Yeah.
And I think it's always been a bit like that, but as it's gained in popularity, and as frankly people have been drinking more lately, it's hard to find. I know. What? And actually, I really like, we don't have to read the whole thing, but this last little phrase on the side, it talks about how it's a very limited release, but at the end it says, "Enjoy. It might be the only chance you'll get." Very ominous. But I think what that means is if you see one of these bottles, grab it. Yes, it may cost double what the bourbon does, but I would say it's worth it.
Let's talk about that price for a real quick second. So Angel's Envy bourbon typically goes for, I've seen it for about $39.99 locally here.
Probably at its lowest.
At its lowest
I think
here
more
in Napa.
consistently it's in like the 45, 46 range.
Anywhere from $39.99 to like $45 or so would be a good price for it. And then the Angel's Envy Rye, I found here in this area as well, anywhere from I think 60 to 90. And then usually I pay somewhere in between. I've been getting it for like 75, 80 to where I go.
If you can find it in the 60 range, just grab it. In the 80s is still pretty decent. 90s probably top end, but it's still worth it.
Great birthday presents, either of them.
And especially if you gift it and then you drink it with them. Just saying.
All right, let's get into the Angels Rye.
Angels Rye.
Cheers.
Cheers. Oh my god, that nose. that nose.
Yeah.
I want to say I'm getting like some of the cherry that I did from the Angel's Envy bourbon, but a lot stronger.
I think of the same. I think like the same port wine barrels were used for sure, but then those Caribbean rum casks for those last 18 months really changed the nose on it a bit. I can kind of smell the difference a little bit. The Caribbean rum kind of reminds me of like a cognac smell. Like,
yeah,
I don't normally drink cognac.
Well, I mean, you know, rum is primarily made with sugarcane. You know, it's a sweeter liquor. It's a sweeter drink. Sweeter alcohol.
Chris, it's pronounced liqueur.
You're pronounced liqueur.
Liqueur, Chris. And you have to have your pinky out.
Liqueur.
Yes.
To the liqueur.
To the liqueur. That's almost too smooth.
Wow.
To me, it was smooth like honey.
I get a lot of that honey.
Smooth like honey.
Smooth like honey. It really is. Honey vanilla, I think, is what a lot of what I'm getting on the palate.
No, you're right. I do smell that sugarcane sweetness. Like, it reminds me of molasses or something on that nose. But then on the palate, yeah, that like sugarcane.
Very
like,
much molasses.
Velvety, like molasses, like coats, like not the tip of your tongue, but like the middle area on my palate. And then just smooth on the finish.
Yeah.
Super smooth. Like,
so smooth.
No burn, no nothing.
Proof on this guy. This is 100 proof. This is,
most ryes are.
Yeah, and they are.
Yeah.
But this is quite a bit more than the Angel's Envy we just had. And honestly, there's not that big of a difference in terms of the burn for me. Which is saying a lot. It goes to show how like bold the flavors are.
Absolutely. This is probably one of the most easiest drinkers I've had in a long time. I know we tried a rye that was real similar that on an earlier episode that was really smooth on the palate, on the finish as well. I won't mention names or anything like that, but this one's almost equal to it, I have to say.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. This one's actually a lot better, but I do love that. This is absolutely a favorite.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I actually really love this.
So good.
This is probably my top 5. This may be even the top 3. This may be even my top 3.
For ryes or just whiskey in general?
For ryes. This may be my top 3 for ryes.
Because I mean,
that's a great question.
I will say Angel's Envy bourbon is in my top 3 of bourbons. It has been for a while. You know, there's other fantastic bourbons I've had that have come close or you know on similar footing, but yeah, their rye tops the charts as well.
Yeah, I don't think the rye needs to be mixed with anything. I don't think it needs to be chilled. You could have it however you really want it. Both have been equally great when it comes to that being neat or being on the ice. It could really just be preference. They're not that harsh, let alone neat. And honestly, like, I really don't think you need them on a cube, but...
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, definitely drink it straight, enjoy it. Like we said, it's not that easy to find, so why water it down? Not that that's a bad thing. If you want to add a little bit of water, by all means.
How dare you, good sir?
Good sir!
How dare you insinuate that this whiskey here needs water?
My whiskey needs water again.
Stop watering your whiskey.
Stop whiskeying my water.
Fair?
Fair? You know, after drinking some, I'm actually getting just a hint of caramel on the nose. Just speaks to how relatively sweet it is.
It's pretty sweet. it's sweeter than some of the ryes that I normally drink, for sure, or that we both drink, honestly. I do get what you're saying. If you smell that toffee, I'm actually tasting a little bit of that on that sweetness.
Yeah.
I thought it was like kind of pure sugar cane-ish, but I could get into that. I can see that where the toffee flavor comes from. Reminds me of like the molasses toffee, like rich goldness of sugar.
Yeah.
Real raw sugar.
Yeah.
Real raw sugar.
Where the real sugar is.
Yeah. Real raw sugar. Gotta bring the real raw sugar.
Like the real raw Rick.
This is the real raw Rick.
Give it the hair flip. All right, so we've talked about tasting notes of both of these. And I almost don't want to say this because there is no comparison. What do you think between the two?
Chris, you can't just come to my house and throw a haymaker question like that at me.
I've done it before. I'm going to do it again.
That's fair. I do keep letting you in. I even gave you a key. I don't know.
Yeah, that was a mistake.
I have to bleep that out. Comparing, huh? Which one's for you?
You know,
no,
it
you
does-
asked me first. Okay.
It doesn't even necessarily have to be which one is your favorite. Like what do you perceive as the differences, and it doesn't have to be picking one over the other.
The differences. Okay.
I mean, it's easy to say one tastes like a bourbon, one tastes like a rye, but they're both Angel's Envy.
I feel almost that their bourbon is so unique from them using the port barrels to finish their product that they almost had to actually do something equal or extreme to go with any other product that they would make, right?
Yeah, take it to the next level.
So taking it to the next level, let's do a rye. So doing a rye, they like, what can we do bigger, better, or equivalent to what we've already created, right, in their mindset?
Yeah.
So since they use port barrels for the bourbon, they absolutely have to do something completely different for their ryes.
Well, we're talking complementary flavors, right? I mean, a port, while it tends to be a sweeter wine, is also generally a pretty strong wine, like a really bold wine. And so you're taking the sweetness of bourbon, pairing it with a bold flavor like port, and that's how you get that balance in the Angel's Envy. Whereas the Angel's Rye, a rye tends to be spicier, a bit sharper, not as sweet. Whereas if you pair that with the sweetness of the rum, I think it just balances out really nicely. Whereas if you flipped it, I don't know if it would be anywhere near as good.
See, and I think that's where I'm going with this, is that they've already created something with the port.
Right.
Okay? They have to absolutely do something different with, like, even if it wasn't Caribbean, but they had to have really gone above and beyond because they have to try to match that sweetness that they've already used and then go to the next level.
Right.
Now, to me, the rye is sweeter.
I agree.
The rye is sweeter, but that doesn't make it any worse in my book.
Well, a rye is generally not as sweet as a bourbon, but it doesn't have to be. It's not its defining characteristic. It's
Correct.
Now-
But it's smooth. So the sweetness in the burn on the rye are almost like equal. Like, I don't feel any burn on my palate. I don't feel the higher proof of 100 proof. I don't feel like I'm drinking 100 proof on the rye.
No, not at all.
No, that sweetness kind of negates a lot of that ethanol, like burn sensation on my tongue, in my throat.
Yep.
Now, as for the bourbon has a great fragrance and a good sweetness to it. It's smooth as well, but I still feel that sharpness. I still feel a little bit of that burn, but it's a less proof. It's only 86.6, and we're talking about the rye, which is 100.
Right.
So ultimately, they're different enough, but they're both great products. Personally, as much as I love the rye and I would drink it all the time, which I do actually, the bourbon is probably the one I would choose as my daily drinker, or one I would make an old fashioned with, etc., like you mentioned.
Yeah.
Just because I like drinking more of what I like, that burn. I like it to remind me of it's there. I like that spice.
Right.
You know what I mean? And ryes usually have that spice for me, but this rye didn't.
Yeah.
This rye was a little bit just smoother for me.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Long story short.
Yeah. No, I definitely think the bourbon is more of the... I don't necessarily easy drinker, because they're both very easy to drink. But, you know, let's use the idea of if you have, you know, a multiple course meal, and you have several different wines throughout that meal, and then you have a dessert wine, which tends to be a little bit sweeter, pairs well with the dessert. I would drink the Angel's Envy bourbon throughout that entire meal. And then when dessert comes, have a splash of the Angel's Rye.
Definitely a dessert, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I didn't actually think of that. I've actually not... Well, you know what? I actually do end my night with the Angel's Envy Rye a lot.
It's a nice finisher.
Oh, thanks for bringing that full circle for me.
It's a nice finisher.
Thanks for bringing that full circle. Full circle, Chris. Full circle.
Well, and I find it interesting because, well, this is a generalization, and obviously not every whiskey adheres to this. You know, if you're in the mood for something a little bit sweeter, let's say you may normally go for a bourbon. If you want something a little bit sharper, a little bit stronger, you may want to go for the rye, and that's vast generalization, obviously. There are many shades in between. I would say the exact opposite when it comes to these two Angels. If I'm feeling something sweet, I'm going for the rye. If I'm feeling something a little more, I don't want to say bold because it is very smooth, but a little more spicy, let's say, I'm going for the bourbon. You know, like I said, they both have some sweet characteristics, but the rye is bold, but not in the way that most ryes are bold.
I agree with you.
Yeah. I thoroughly enjoy both of these, though. I will never turn down either of them.
If you had to choose, and you're stranded on a Caribbean island,
Okay.
maybe not by yourself, but likely, which one would you like airdropped to you?
All right. Let me add to this.
Okay.
Can I only choose one Angels, but I get some other whiskeys as well? Or is it just one and one only?
It's a box. There's a wholesale going on.
Mm-hmm.
People know you're on the island.
Yeah.
They can't spring for anything else. But they can absolutely airdrop you a crate of whiskey.
See, you mentioned other people.
Yeah.
So I'm going to answer this two ways. One, if I'm by myself and it's all I get to drink forever,
Yeah.
I'm going with the Angel's Envy bourbon. Now, if there's other people, but I only get one whiskey airdrop to me, I'm actually going to go for the Angel's Envy Rye. And hear me out, because the flavor is so powerful and so appealing, I can barter with it. People will gladly trade an ounce of this for whatever other goods they have.
You misunderstood. People know you're on the island. Okay.
They just stranded me there?
Yeah.
That's
Okay?
screwed up.
I know. And they know that they can only airdrop you one crate of whiskey.
Why don't they rescue me instead?
No.
And there's other people on this island?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This story took a lot of turns.
Well, you wanted the answer
I've
so
had
quickly.
a lot of ups and a lot of downs.
You wanted the answer so quickly. You didn't let me finish.
I had ideas.
You were so
I needed
excited.
to get them out. You know,
I would go with Angel's Envy Rye.
Yeah?
Just all around. Yeah.
And that's the only thing you could drink.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
I can dilute it. I can find sticks
That's
and
a
stuff.
fair point.
I can find sticks and like coconuts and like pineapples and like tobacco and like I can use this.
Split
to,
open
like,
a coconut,
create
add a little
things.
Angel's Envy, a little cocktail
Yeah.
on your desert.
I can use
you know
this
what?
to like create and infuse other things. Then when people do hopefully find me or continue to leave me there, they'll know I have stuff to barter, or I can just enjoy the finer things in life.
And let's face it, it's a whole crate, but you can still ration. And using a little bit goes much farther with the rye.
Couple little drops.
bold.
I start growing tobacco. There's tobacco already on the farm. I can start making cigars. A little bit of pineapple, like cut out the pineapple, eat
What-
the pineapple,
what if
pour
you
it in a
soak-
pineapple. My pineapple's my chalice.
Soak the tobacco leaves in the
Yeah.
Angel's Rye and roll a cigar. Yeah, fuck it. I'm in Angel's Rye.
That's how you really feel.
It's so good. I mean, they're both phenomenal, mind-blowingly phenomenal. But the Angel's Rye is just something special.
The bourbon's good too. It's smooth. It's absolutely.
Well-
it should be on a bar. It should be.
And-
It's actually one of my best friend's favorites.
Yeah.
He's religious about this.
Right.
I keep bringing him bottles. He only wants Angel's Envy bourbon.
Right.
It's good for him.
Why not?
Why the hell not? Because I like rye.
Right.
So I'm just gonna bring rye over there and I know it's safe.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't touch it.
Yeah.
It's my rye.
Right.
It's my rye.
But what we're getting down to, though, is these are two very different price points. We can compare these all day long, but, you know, that's like comparing a, you know...
Apples to bananas.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Apples to bananas.
I waited years to use that. Never thought I'd actually say that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is it apples bananas or bananas to apples?
Apples to oranges?
It is apples to oranges. But I mean, yeah, we're talking two different price points. If you're looking for something that is under $50 and you want it to be a reliable, good drinker that you could either drink every day or bring out only on special occasions, you're not going to be disappointed with the Angel's Envy bourbon at all. But if you're looking to spend a little bit more and you can find it, get the Angel's Envy Rye. Just do it. Have both of them. Why choose? Just you're more likely to find the bourbon. And it's going to be a bit more cost effective. But really, I wouldn't necessarily choose one over the other. I'd prefer to have both.
Did you hear about the other elusive one?
I did. Was it like starting at
Cask strength.
$600 or something like that?
Cask strength.
Yeah.
The lowest I found it for was $3.49.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cask strength. Angel's Envy. Be on the lookout. Very limited. Few far between.
Maybe we'll get one of those one day.
Yeah, I was thinking about it.
Yeah. That'd be cool. That'd be very cool.
We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Well, cheers.
Cheers.
Port. Chocolate cherries. In love?
All right, this may sound a little weird, but I'm going to add one more, definitely love. I'm going to add one more tasting note for the Angel's Envy bourbon.
All right.
A little bit of pear.
Huh.
A hint of pear. And I think that's only after going between the two of them for a while. It definitely didn't get anywhere near that, but just comparing the sweetness and the flavor profile of the two.
I wonder how dirty our palates are, but yeah, I get that pear on my palate too.
Okay, so I'm not...
You're not crazy.
I'm not... Well, we're both crazy, but...
He's crazy.
Equally crazy, which makes us both sane. That math checks out, right? Yeah, it checks out.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
or we're psychotic and we're 2 steps ahead of the crazy people.
That's definitely accurate. To being psychotic. Cheers. That's a good one.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
that's the tick.
That's the good stuff.
Well, you know,
Yep. The more you know.
the more you know.
Cool. Well, anything else you have to add?
No, I think
Yeah.
that's it, Chris.
All right.
Yeah, I think this has been a successful episode.
Agreed. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you all.
We hope you appreciated the comparison of these two. You know, many of you have likely tried at least one of these. If you haven't, please do. If you only tried one, try the other. You really can't go wrong.
Please comment or like and subscribe. Comment in the section if any other bottles you want us to try or like talk about. Happy to try them with you or give you our input on anything specific.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you. Have a good one. I don't know why I don't sign off that way.
You don't sound.
This has been Rye the Hell Not.
This has been Rather Hell Not. I'm Rick.
I'm Chris.
Thanks for joining us.